I'll just sum up why we should be reading this book. I'll give you 5 reasons and we will conclude the program. Number 1, please don't develop the impression that it's a very scholastic kind of book and therefore it's only meant for a small group of professional students. It's not that. It's written in a very urbane and very nuanced English. It's a great pleasure to read it from page 1 to the last. Secondly, in most of the important and very crucial sections of these essays, Professor Shetter uses his imagination like a novelist, and he tells us, for example, that after having created a disaster instead of an inscription, Chapada looked at it, felt frustrated, walked to the next one, and decided that he would improve upon it. So here's a historian who, like a novelist, enters into the minds of the artisans. So it could be read as today we read the new historicism as history which reads like fiction. Third reason is that there are a number of details which appear to be marginal but which are very, very important. My fellow panelists were talking about, was there compulsory labor or was there some form of slavery for creation of such huge architecture all over India? Many answers are given by Shetter here. The most interesting one I found was there was also a small space for resistance because one of them got away by writing in an inscription that there is this long sleeping, disorderly person, and that's how he brings in a very snide comment about the master. That also is very much there in this excellently written book. And lastly, most importantly, it resonates with the questions that we are trying to ask. If you just look at the portrayal given in this book, this is so heterogeneous a world, where there are no boundaries between languages, where Kharoshti and Brahmi lipis very quickly, as Shetter says, they are on the pedestal of becoming Kannada and Telugu and other Indian scripts. There are communities which are continuously migrating from one end to the other. If this is the incorrigibly plural world of pre-modern India, shouldn't we be concerned about what happened to it? What are the questions that we raise about languages today? What are the questions about identities? My fellow panelist was raising that question. Such a mixed flow of cultures, civilizations, all jostling with one another. What was the nature of the Indian identity then? What was the identity here in our history? Shouldn't we go back to it? The book raises this very important question, and therefore I take it as not a book about the past, but a book about our own contemporary world. Professor Shetter knew very well that in his own very subtle way, he was bringing up in this history of artisans of early India all what our civil society is concerned about: language, culture, pluralism, power structures, movements of classes from one hierarchy to another. I think that's one reason why we should be reading this book. So with that, on behalf of the panel, I thank all of you. Thank you.
One word, can I? Sir, with the permission of the chair, I would like to read how Professor Shetter sir is humble in giving in the text. I'll read the one sentence. A comparative study of textual and epigraphical sources. He talks about how in 1930s, Kumar Swamy, he made an attempt of artisans based on the Pali literature. he mentioned that I could not do, but he has mentioned I could not overlook the pioneering study of Pali text made by Anand Kumar Swami in 1930s, which was far more comprehensive than me. This is how he was a very humble while presenting this kind of because he mentioned that I depend only on epigraphy of contemporary epigraphy, whereas Kumar Swami he depends on Pali literature. However, he might have also consulted Prakrit inscriptions. That is what Professor Shetter's humbleness, which I could notice there. The last sentence I would like to tell that how one scholar admires the another scholar, Professor Rajendra Channi. In the last sentence, he talks about the colonial production of knowledge was founded on colonial notions of the caste system as a statics. He talks in the last, Professor Shetter's work unsettled all such colonial frameworks without restoring the polemics, and Professor Shetter practices historian's history. This is how the argument of Professor Channi. Professor Shetter, he practiced only historian's historiography. That is how he has underlined in this. So I'm very happy being a part of this program. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. We'll close this session